basket spend analysis has come from research that's been undertaken by publishers and the PPA, who are the industry body for the consumer magazine sector. And it's been driven primarily by statistics in and around the supermarket sector, by checking basket spend and done Humby data, where they've actually analysed that consumers with magazines in their baskets generally spend on average 25% more than consumers who don't have magazines in their basket. And I think that's driven primarily by affluency. People who obviously read magazines can be slightly more highly educated because they like reading a lot, and generally people who, an older generation, who like to treat themselves, and those sorts of things are driving in the main the basket spend element. But sales as a whole, quite often within the magazine sector, are driven by a number of factors. Publishers spend an awful lot of time, as we've mentioned before. They understand the customer avatar, what their customers like. So they spend a lot of time on great covers, great features and articles, which they use cover lines on the magazines to drive that message. Promotional items, elements, be it competitions or a lot of cover-mounted gift activity, particularly in certain sectors. A classic example of that would be some seasonal campaigns around gardening titles or hobbies and sports, and also around titles such as the children's sector. So an awful lot of preschool, primary and teen titles would have some form of cover-mounted gift to promote the particular issue and really drive sales through those avenues. More often than not, the cover-mounted gift has a higher perceived value for the consumer than the actual price they're paying for the magazine itself. And a classic example of that will be around the glossy monthlies. So the Marie Claires, Vogues, Cosmos, etc. of the world, where they're putting makeup and other things on, they've got perceived values of £15-20 plus for a magazine that's well under £5. There is some price elasticity around cover price and volume. There's no surprise that the biggest selling titles in the UK, those that are purchased rather than those that are given away as part of subscriptions with, for example, Sky TV or something like that. But for those that are physically bought, the real mass sellers are low price weeklies. You tend to find that a monthly title, because the team that are producing it have to survive off of one issue a month rather than 4 or 5 issues a month, which you get from weeklies, then obviously the cover price is then going to be in the £355 range. There are some more expensive than that. They've got a higher content value in them, but a lot of the high volume weeklies are in and around sub a pound price. Your TV listings market's a classic one, where there's an awful lot of competition in the market and people are driving huge volumes but at quite low price. But what you're getting then is you're getting stock churn on the shelf. So for the retailer, the consumer's getting a great price, but for the retailer, they're actually seeing an awful lot of products sold off of quite a small space in store. So because of that, magazines are still highly valuable for retail because of that throughput of product. The other benefit for retail is obviously magazines have quite a defined on-sale period because of the frequency of product production. It means that they're weeklies or they're monthlies. There are other frequencies available, but in the main, they're the two key drivers. And off of that, you haven't got magazines sat around for 6, 12, 18 months on your shelves because of the sale and return element we're going to cover later. You've got good stock churn coming through and new issues coming out, so the product always looks fresh. And there's quite a lot of topicality around it as well, which helps drive sales. So for example, if something happens quite quickly in the news, and a classic example of this is where there's been a famous death, for example, so Michael Jackson dying, or some big news, royal family, both positive or negative in many ways. Publishers are able to produce material and get special issues out in a very, very fast space of time. And that drives a sales volume, but it also means within the retail store, they've got new, fresh product that's very topical really quickly. And you just don't get that with other product categories. Quite a few publishers many years ago learnt that if they actually publish on a 4-weekly cycle rather than a monthly cycle, you get 13 issues a year. So that's quite a good practice that a lot of publishers employ that helps drive revenues for retailers. The computer press is quite well renowned for that, particularly. But then what you've then got in terms of specials is, yes, they can be planned. So IPC Media, for example, have a whole host of special issues that are all around particular themes. So it could be a Women's Weekly, the Feel Good series, or the cooking series, or whatever, and they change all the time. So, but they're actually spin-offs of a main brand. So what's quite good there is you've got a core brand where you're getting brand extension from it. Another thing that publishers quite often do with specials and one-offs, etc., is actually test a concept. So it's quite difficult for a publisher, in another marketplace. What a manufacturer might do is produce, if they think they can sell 100, they'll produce 10 of something and test it. Where for most publishers that's quite difficult. The cost of producing the first copy is incredibly expensive, and then every other copy is a print run-on. So one way of actually doing it to test the market is, rather than do a big launch of a weekly or a monthly frequency product, is to launch a special or a biannual or a bi-monthly product, with a view that actually we think there's something in here that enables us to become a monthly or become a weekly down the road. That, to be fair, is more around the monthly marketplace, but it does enable them to concept proof different opportunities within the sector. Well, we've got lots of information available through our websites, and also through the customer magazine sales advisor team. So the best thing to do is give them a call, really, and ask, get some advice. I'll be able to send you some information out. We've got literatures, we've got a little book to help retailers understand more about the category. So just give them a call on 0121 788 3112.